Hi there, my name is MegaMadVlad, and yesterday, October 12th, Fallout 3 got a 5 megabyte update that ended up taking out its need to open up through Games for Windows Live, which in turn actually fixed quite a few issues, crashing included. So there were quite a few articles yesterday, quite a few videos as well, because Fallout 3 got an actual update for the first time in a long while. Like we're talking probably years now at this point. And going with that right there, this update is actually something that's very beneficial to the game, because when you play through Steam, this is where the issue mostly came into play here, was through Steam on PC specifically. And when you would turn on the game, a lot of times it would either not turn on, you would have some issues, and sometimes you would even be trying to play the game in general, play a little bit, and then the game would crash, like hard crash, go right back to desktop. And it would do that so often. I at one point actually tried to play it like completely through, multiple characters, and it would crash so many times that it was definitely an issue. People were actually suggesting to go on to the version that was on GOG, which could only assume did not actually have the need to go into Games for Windows Live. With that taken out now, there are a lot of benefits, because there's apparently a few extra bugs that are fixed with that, because this was something that was running in the background. You turn on the game, it had this dependency to go into the launcher of Games for Windows Live, which pretty much does not exist anymore. Games for Windows Live was something that Microsoft made up as their own, PC launcher back in the day. It started in May 2007 and ended up getting discontinued July of 2014. So it lasted almost 7 years. However, there were apparently so many issues with it, gamers did not like it. And while it made sense for multiplayer games, like for instance Halo 2, Fallout 3 was not a multiplayer game. That's a single player game. So why people were actually forced to go through that instead of Steam at the time, where this game was actually on, it was trying to put in two launchers right there. So there's probably going to be some amount of issues involved, especially for the fact that it's also a game that is, well, not multiplayer. And then you also have the fact that this whole Games for Windows Live launcher does not exist anymore. So the fact that it was attached to Fallout 3 for so long, it was only getting worse over time, over the years. And it's actually a good, very, very good thing that they actually took this out, because now people can actually play the game. You can turn it on. There's no crashing involved. So, well, probably less crashing involved, I should say, but no crashing involved with Games for Windows Live. Now, I actually see this information right here. I got it from an article from Kotaku, and it says right here, I'm going to read this word for word. Fallout 3 Game of the Year Edition has been updated and no longer installs Games for Windows Live dependencies. If Fallout 3 was previously installed on Steam, we suggest uninstalling and reinstalling the title. The title no longer requires Games for Windows Live and will now launch. So that's actually very big right there. That means that this over a decade old game that came out in 2008 is now capable of being played, at least to a much better extent than what it was before. Now, say what you want about Fallout 3, say what you want about Bethesda, but Fallout 3 is one of my favorite games, and honestly, I'm very much looking forward to getting back into it again. It's honestly one of the biggest Fallout games that I could say in recent memory, that I could just get so soaked up into actually just wanting to explore the world. I don't know what it is, but it's one of those games where when I get set loose, I just want to go off in any direction. Fallout 4, I kind of had the more direct route. Fallout New Vegas, I still had a more direct route, but Fallout 3 was just like, what if I explore? So highly recommend playing this game. It may be dated to today's standards, because back in 2008 and even back in 2008, it wasn't made as an FPS first and foremost. It was more of an RPG at the time. So that was their main focus, not to mention the fact that they actually they had to make their own FPS mechanics from the ground up, and they weren't a primarily focused FPS kind of studio, at least at the time. Now they have a lot more experience with it. They have more devs who are, into that kind of aspect. Like, for instance, with Fallout 4, they ended up getting a couple of Bungie devs. And what is Bungie known for? They're very well known for creating some of the best FPS mechanics in gaming history. And they are definitely a golden standard. So when they did that, obviously Fallout 4's shooting mechanics actually became a lot more, at least palatable to some other people. It's questionable as to how long those devs were actually there for, like when they got hired on, if they had enough time, so on and so forth. But for the most part, now you can actually play this game. And I'm also kind of wondering if this is going to lead to anything in the future as well. Is this a little hint? They just updated Fallout 3. Is there something coming in the future? Like, for instance, maybe a remaster? Ooh. So we'll see what the future holds. All right. So with that in mind right there, I'm going to call this video an end. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you all. I'll see you all next time. Adios.